our region, and we discussed about different initiatives and ideas existed for a peaceful settlement of this question. But as all of you know, we suddenly faced with the aggression.
Good evening. Welcome to BridgeColumns. We are reacting to Iran's warning on U.S. strikes will have everlasting consequences. And we are now listening to the press conference, the questions that are being asked, and his response to the questions. One of the questions that was asked is, will there be, or is there still room, rather, for diplomatic relations? And he responded by saying that Tehran is assessing the damages from the attacks, and that it's not necessarily completely closed, but it's up to Tehran now to respond based on the attacks that have been happening, and he condemns the US's and Israel's attack on Iran as being unlawful and breaking international codes, and he wants the international councils and partners to hold the US and Israel accountable. He also says that accuses the US of being reckless in this way, of not being able to manage international relations in their support for Israel in the attacks on Iran, and that is up to Iran to continue to respond as Iran sees fit, because the attack was unlawful and that their nuclear program is peaceful and has been peaceful, and it's been 20 years that they have been in this negotiation, and that they have maintained the standards required regarding their nuclear program, and as such as the Israel attacking them first, they have the right to respond how they see fit, and seemingly suggesting that they are going to continue this conflict as long as they see fit, because it's their right to respond based on international guidelines to threats on Iran. Well, let's continue to listen, and we will comment as we go along. But thank you everyone for joining. Thank you.
By how much of a devastating blow that the US, a permanent member of the Security Council, has dealt to the global non-proliferation regime. The Islamic Republic of Iran reminds the United Nations, the Security Council, the UN Secretary General, the International Atomic Energy Agency, and other relevant international bodies of their duty and responsibility to take urgent and decisive action in response to this breach of international law. Silence in the face of such blatant aggression will plunge the world into an unprecedented level of danger and chaos. Humanity has come too far as a species to allow a lawless bully to take us back to the law of the jungle. The Islamic Republic of Iran calls on the Security Council to convene an emergency session to unequivocally condemn the criminal act of aggression by the United States against Iran, and to hold the administration in Washington accountable for its violations of fundamental principles of United Nations Charter and of norms of international law. The responsibility of the IAEA and its Director General, who through evidence bias in favor of warmongering parties paved the way for the current violence and bloodshed, is now clearer than ever. We call on the IAEA Board of Governors to immediately convene and carry out its legal responsibility in response to the dangerous US attack on Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities, all of which have been under the agency's full safeguards and monitoring. The world must not forget that it was the United States which, in the midst of a process to forge a diplomatic outcome, betrayed diplomacy by supporting the genocidal Israeli regime's launch of an illegal war of aggression on the Iranian nation.
These are very strong words, genocidal and criminal. You hear these words in the language that is being used to describe the US and Israel's attack on Iran. Of course, read a document in one of our previous videos regarding the international standard that was set for Iran in terms of enriching its nuclear uranium, which was around 3.5, and it said that they broke the standard there and they had exceeded that. So it's very interesting here that he's saying that it was the US who breached the international standard and supported Israel in their, as what he's saying, criminal and genocidal attack on Iran. Very, very strong words. I'm now thinking about the US's 15-point proposal and Iran's 5-point proposal, how it's being mediated, and to go forward, if this is how the rest of the board of Iranians feel, the representatives feel, then how will the negotiations proceed, and in a healthy and successful way? What's the best way to resolve all of this if this is how they're feeling about this war, and they want the international community to condemn the US and Israel? You know, one of the points in their 5-point proposal are supposedly had been for reparations for the attack on Iran. So going forward is going to be very interesting to see how the negotiations unfold and what the reports are and who's mediating these negotiations and the proposals from both sides. And be interesting also to hear how Israel, or what their contribution to the proposal is, and how they feel about Iran's proposal as well. But let's continue to listen. And I'm gonna be licking my lips throughout this, so please mind me, I cannot find my chapstick.
Müzakerelere hala kapı açık mı görüyorsunuz? Tahran'la görüşmüş
Is the
müydünüz? Bugün
negotiation
nükleer
door
tesislere
still
vurulan
open?
nükleer tesislere ne
Did
kadar
you
yüzde kaç bir
contact
zarar
Tehran?
görmüştü?
What kind of damage
Arabuluculuk
has been
yapan bir
incurred
ülke var
on
mı?
the nuclear
Görüştünüz,
facilities? Is
bölgedeki
there any
ülkelerle,
intermediary
Türkiye,
country
Sırbistan kadar gibi
like
ülkelerle
Turkey, like
görüşüyor
Saudi
musunuz?
Arabia, like
Arabuluculuk
Qatar?
yoğunluk devam
Are you
ediyor mu?
continuing
Nasıl
your
görüyorsunuz bu süreci?
such activities of mediation? How do you see the process? Thank you.
Well, I have been in touch with Tehran, of course. I still do not have exact information about the level of damages, but I don't think it matters how much damages have been made. Attacking a nuclear facility by itself is an unforgivable violation of international law and should be condemned. Yesterday, as I said, I had discussion and talks with a number of foreign ministers of the region. Almost all of them are very much concerned and interested to play a role to end this aggression by Israel, of course. They were worried about a possible attack by the United States, but yesterday we were all talking about how to stop the Israeli aggression. Well, of course, the door for diplomacy should be always keep open, but This is not the case right now. My country has been under attack, under aggression, and we have to respond based on our legitimate right of self-defense. And we will do that as long as needed and necessary.
We'd now like to take a question from Al Jazeera.
So you heard there, they reserve the right to respond to attack, and they will do it as long as needed and necessary. Very strong words, even at this point, a month with this conflict. And this is where he's saying that they're at with the conflict. And it's going to be very interesting in the next coming days, weeks, how the international community, how Iran and US and Israel will handle any negotiations or any retaliations or attacks from Iran.
Bilateral between Turkey, US, and Iran. What would be your response to that? Because right now the US is technically involved in this conflict. Thank you.
Well, I think it is irrelevant to ask Iran to return to diplomacy, because we were in the middle of diplomacy. We were in the middle of talks with the United States when Israelis blew it up. And again, we were in the middle of talks and negotiation with Europeans, happened only 2 days ago in Geneva, when this time Americans decided to blow it up. So we were in diplomacy, but we were attacked militarily. So it was not Iran, but the US who betrayed diplomacy. They betrayed negotiations. When at the middle of negotiations with us, they gave green light to Israelis, if not instructed them, to attack Iran's nuclear facilities. I think they have proved that they are not men of diplomacy, and they only understand the language of threat and force. And this is very unfortunate.
So seemingly here, if I may say from what I'm understanding, if they only understand the language of threat and force, and how they would like the international community to respond and look at the US and Israel, and how they want to be looked at in this conflict, it seems that projecting force and threat would be the way for them to have their voices heard in the Middle East, in the international community, and to be recognized in this situation as not the enforcer, but the one that's responding to the threat. And so, very strong words and seemingly insightful into the direction seemingly Iran is prepared to go in after a month with the conflict.
They are not only for our nuclear facilities. The damages are for the United Nations Charter. It was not only Iran's facilities which was bombed, it was also the United Nations Charter. It was also Non-Proliferation Regime and NPT, which was bombed last night by Americans. And it was the rule of law and international law which was bombed. So now we have to see how much room is left for diplomacy, and we will decide.
I'd like to hand over to TRT World.
Mr. Minister, the U.S. President Donald Trump warned that Iran must now make peace, otherwise the future attacks, he says, would be far greater and much easier. So how is Tehran responding to that threats from Washington? Thank you.
I think it's not up to Iran to respond to that. The whole international community should respond of such a clear threat against the United Nations Charter. Iran has done nothing wrong. We do not understand why Iran should be attacked for a false accusation that Iran is seeking nuclear weapons. It's now more than 20 years that we are trying to prove that our peaceful nuclear program is in fact peaceful and would remain peaceful. We negotiated for a long time with the so-called P5+1, and we came to a deal which the whole world celebrated as an achievement of diplomacy. And then it was the US who withdrew from that deal and reimposed their sanctions and restarted their threats. Again, we were negotiating with the same administration. Then all of a sudden they decided to attack us, first by Israelis, then by themselves. And now they are threatening us for more attacks. So it's not up to Iran, but it's up to international community to condemn this, to prevent this. Otherwise, there would be nothing left for the international law, for the security at the world level. The Security Council should play its role, should play its responsibility to condemn and prevent these kind of threats. We will certainly defend our interest. We will certainly defend our territorial integrity, our sovereignty, and our people. And I'm so glad that our people are now fully understand what injustice they are doing against the Iranian people. They are united and in solidarity with the government, and we stand firm against any aggression.
Certainly, we hope that Washington is paying attention to the messages that are being sent out here from this press conference to the Iranians, to the International Council there, and to want to manage how Iranians view this conflict, and that these words that are, going out to the media, to the public and the Iranian people, that U.S. and Israel are not against Iranians and the Middle East, and wanted to protect it and keep it peaceful, and opportunities there for everyone to have a safe environment to be productive and be contributors of society and for the world at large. And so I'm very much interested in this week's upcoming responses and talks of ending this conflict, and where does the proposals go with the peace talks and ending this conflict. So thank you so much for joining. Again, my name is Majash with BridgeColumns. Have a wonderful evening. We will come back again when we hear something from Washington regarding what the U.S. has planned here for this upcoming week, and Israel as well. Have a good night.